Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Garden City Zoning Board of Appeals. It's Wednesday, June 26, 2024 at 6:35. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Everyone would stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Would the secretary take the roll call, please?
Chairperson May,
Here.
Commissioner Price, Commissioner Richard, Commissioner Hickman is absent, Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Martin,
Here.
and Commissioner Bullock.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, next we need approval of the agenda for tonight. Need a motion?
Motion to approve. A second.
Made and supported. Any comments or questions on the motion? Would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Bullock,
Yeah.
Commissioner Richard, Chairperson May.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next we need approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of April 24th, 2024.
Support.
Any questions or comments on the motion? Would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Richard, Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Commissioner Bullock,
Yay.
Commissioner Smith, Chairperson May.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next we have public comment on non-agenda items only. If someone's here that wishes to comment on an item that's not on our agenda, they can step forward now and make their comments. Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to the regular business items. First item is northeast corner of Arcola Avenue and Cherry Hill Road, consideration of a request for one-dimensional variance for the construction of a new apartment building on the vacant lot. This variance is for the Arcola side setback, I believe. I can, to move on, can we have your report, please, Mr. Ortega?
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, with regard to this project, I'm just going to give you some history first and then go over my review letter that you already have in front of you. But basically, the applicant has been working with the property owner in an attempt to develop the site for apartment buildings, for an apartment building. The applicant's previous site plan proposal was approved by the Planning Commission in March of 2024, but that required 4 variances. They did come before this body in April of 2024, and those 4 variances were denied. So since that time, the applicant has revised their plan to remove the need for those 4 variances. However, the resulting plan that's in front of you does require now one variance that you had not considered before from the front yard setback. So for this reason, the applicant is allowed to apply for this variance because it's different than the other variances they were looking at. So as I mentioned, the site plan has been revised, and it's now a 7-unit, 2-story apartment building with the associated parking. And this configuration did receive Planning Commission approval at their June meeting, contingent upon the applicant obtaining this variance. So specifically, this variance is regards to the minimum required front yard setback. Within the R3 district, we do require a 30-foot front yard setback from, in this case, it would be the west property line or the property line on Arcola. And the applicant is proposing the building to be 15 feet from the lot line along Arcola. So this would be a 15-foot variance from that standard. So looking over the various standards within the zoning ordinance to determine the conditions and the findings of fact for the site, We look at practical difficulty, looking at whether compliance with this standard would be presented unnecessary hardship or burden on the applicant. Well, as I mentioned, the site has been attempted in various ways to be developed. At one point, they even had necessitated more than 4 variances. They were up to like 7. So they have they have now presented something which only requires the 1 variance. And the need for that is basically due to the configuration. Initially, the previous proposal had the parking lot adjacent to the Arcola side of the lot, and then the building on the east side of the lot, adjacent, 15 feet from the east property line that is shared with the Wendy's. Now, this proposal would have the 50-foot front yard along Arcola, and then the building, and then a rear parking lot. So the parking lot is to the rear of the building, the dumpster and dumpster enclosure is to the rear of the building. There's no curb cut along Cherry Hill, and the site is also now is not in violation of any kind of side yard setback from that eastern property line. Thus, the only situation, and the building has been revised. Originally, the applicant was proposing 8 units. Now they are proposing the permitted 7 based on the lot size. So as a result, this configuration, though, due to the depth of the lot from Arcola, does result in the building being located 15 feet from that Arcola Avenue frontage. So really, in the end, it's the depth of the lot from Arcola that creates this condition for a hardship. Result of the site to be able of accommodating what's permitted from a number of apartments, what's permitted in terms of the required minimum number of parking spaces necessary, and the configuration that is compliance with all of our other standards, that being that the parking lot located to the rear of the building, front yard of the building. Looking at other aspects of our approval criteria, whether this variance would grant substantial justice to this property, would grant it to this property owner because they would be allowed to develop the R3 property as other R3 property owners have been allowed to. What this permitted variance will not negatively impact the health, safety, and welfare of the public. The dimension of the variance will not pose a safety or all clear vision areas and for traveling vehicles along Arcola and Cherry Hill will be met. One other aspect to point out is that, as I mentioned, one of the things we look at is on the configuration, whether this would have any impact on land values or whether this would impact the neighborhood character of the particular location of the city. Revised configuration is closer to Arcola Avenue, but it now creates a front yard and not a parking lot along Arcola. Landscaped front yard between the it's very hard to determine whether this would impact the property values, but that's such a vague aspect to consider because of the vagaries of the housing market. It's all based on type of configuration. And also, the granting of the requested variance is relatively, it is substantially in character with the area because to the east, south, and south of the site, it's zoned and developed as commercial. The north of the site, it's zoned and developed as multifamily, and then just the northwest of the site, it's zoned. And then there is a business to the west. So by placing the site with multifamily use, developed in that character what we'd like to see, which is transitional zoning from having heavy commercial that has more traffic, more hours of operation along the corridors, and then having multifamily uses buffer between the non-residential commercial uses along the corridor and the single-family homes located deep. So by placing the multifamily here, that would be consistent with the neighborhood. So in the end, the zoning board shall only grant this variance from the standard once you've made a determination that the approval criteria have been substantially met. Presented other findings of fact within the review letter regards to each individual criteria for approval. Have presented you this. That would be based and so making your determination, have to make sure that you cite your findings of fact for the approval. Summary, and I can take any questions at the appropriate.
Okay. Next, would the applicant care to make any comments?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ortega, for the presentation. So based on what Mr. Ortega has been presenting, we have changed the entire site layout and design to meet your comments and criteria from last meeting, and we went down from 4 variances to 1. And this one variance is, we couldn't avoid it at all because of the parking requirement for the 7 units and the building size. So if we wanna meet this variance, it should be 30 feet, correct me if I'm wrong, 30 feet from Arcola to the building, and now it's 15, and if we wanna make it 30 feet, we're not gonna have any space for the parking at all. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we'll open the public hearing at 6:47. Does anyone here wish to make a comment on this application during the public hearing? Let's come forward, ma'am, and tell us who you are.
My name is Beverly McCarson. I live kitty corner from the lot. And so my question now is the variance that he's talking about, is that he won't be able to provide enough parking for his 7 units?
No, that's not true.
Okay, now that's what I'm needing.
He will be able to provide the parking. It will be in the back of the building,
Okay,
and he will have adequate parking that meets the criteria of the ordinance.
okay,
Yeah, I believe there's actually extra spaces.
okay. And so the entrances to the apartment complex will be off of Arcola?
There will be an entrance off of Arcola, but the parking will be in the rear of the building, and most of the residents, I assume, will be entering through the rear of the building on the east side, because that's where their cars will be parked.
Okay, all right. And the dumpster will be in the back?
Yes.
Okay.
Back in the northeast corner of the lot.
I still don't understand why we can't get the entrance off of Cherry Hill instead of Arcola. Well, they managed to do it with Wendy's there.
Well, that was quite a while ago, too. And the county is very reluctant to allow new curb cuts on the county roads. So it's There will be one curb cut on Arcola, but
Oh, just one?
yes,
So there's one way in and one way out?
yes.
Okay, all right. All right, that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you.
Unless- You're welcome.
Does anyone else wish to comment during the public hearing? Okay. Do we have any written communications?
No, we do not.
Then we'll close the public hearing at approximately 6:50. And move on to discussion with the board. The applicant has made a number of changes. All of them aren't even reflected on this present plan that we have, because there's a couple of things like sidewalk and landscaping that are not reflected on this plan that will be changed. But because of the narrowness of the lot, this is really the only way to configure the site to allow them to use it for its proposed use, in my opinion. So I believe it does have practical difficulty that requires a variance to correct. And I believe that also this would create a substantial justice for the applicant. Opening it up for comments from the board. Do I hear any? Yeah, I think they've been very cooperative in changing their plans to fit our needs as well as theirs. Anyone else have comment? We need a motion.
West Walk, those bushes and stuff on that, is that gonna be on the lawn side?
So, excuse me, I should just shake my head. That's correct. That's one of the corrections that the planning commission did look at. And because graphically it shows the land, on the sidewalk, and they won't be there. The landscape, part of the planning commission's conditions of approval was to provide the required landscaping in the front yard, so between the sidewalk and the building.
Any other questions or comments? Anyone care to make a motion? We have a sample motion provided, and but we also need to fill in a couple of the criteria along with that, such as practical difficulty and substantial justice, I believe, would be appropriate.
I'll make a motion to approve of and grant parcel number 35-015-01-0051-001, located at the northeast corner of Cherry Hill Road in Arcola Township. A 15-foot variance from the City of Garden City zoning ordinance
questions or comments on the motion? Just take the roll, please.
Aye.
Aye. Well, your variance is approved. You can get together with Mr. Ortega and proceed. Okay, other business. Do we have any other business, Mr. Ortega?
Nope, none at this time. There's no
Okay.
known applications.
Next regular zoning board of appeals meeting will be Wednesday, July 24th, 2024, if needed. Anyone care to make a motion to adjourn? Support? Was there support? Made and supported, all in favor? Motion's passed, meeting's adjourned.